Carl and Damon here from Games, Brains, and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it's they made what into a TV series. We're in the home stretch, folks. We're in the 20s. It is Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures, Season 2, Episode 20, The Wizard of Odd, written by Dennis Haley and Marcy Brown. Now, you can be like, oh, well, obviously it's The Wizard of Oz, but we've seen this before in the past. Just because it's in the title doesn't mean they're in any way going to do anything in the episode. No, folks, in this one, they're doing it. This is as
Yep.
close to a rip-off of The Wizard of Oz as you can get without it being copyrighted, basically.
Mhm.
Dr. B is shown Betrayus, the space one. Do you remember the space one, folks? We briefly saw in a brief episode. Well, Dr. B is shown Betrayus on the screen. And I do appreciate that Betrayus is like, and the
Yeah.
guy is so got such a dick sometimes. But when Dr. B tells him that he could use it to get rid of Pac, he's involved. Now Dr. B just needs to find a way to get the worm to come and eat Pac. You know, you guys don't want to win. You don't think that you can come up with a better plan than this? This is so complex and so difficult. In the end, his plan is unimpressive, as he literally has to capture it, but it just ends up dragging him around as well. That's classic Dr. B.
Yep.
Luckily, though, it heads off the Pac world. Meanwhile, it's barbecue time, and Pac won't stop eating the food. Ha ha, isn't he funny, the greedy prick?
Yeah.
But their day is ruined by the worm appearing in the sky. So big is it, it blots out the sun and turning everything black and white with tracking lines for some reason. Now, this is your Wizard of Oz reference, folks.
Yeah.
Pat goes off to fight it, but he and Fuzzbait are actually sucked into it. And they end up being sucked into a new dimension, one that is colourful and resembles the land of Oz. Confused, Paxi is silly and calls her over, but this is not silly. It's someone who looks like her called Little Red Riding Helmet. The wicked ghost of the worst now appears. It's Betrayus, except it's not. And Pax starts to think he's having a dream as the wicked ghost of the worst drops slime in a village below. Okay, I'm going to come back to a point in a moment, but let me just get through another couple of stage points and then we'll come back to it. After being hit by some, Pac realizes this is not a dream, but along comes the Good Witch, a version of Aunt Spiria, but she ends up being attacked. Pac helps her by eating the ghost, which stops everyone in their tracks. The wicked ghost of the worst leaves, and Pac meets the Good Witch and finds out that he's in the land of Odd. To get home, Pac must go see the Wizard of Odd, and Little Red Riding Helmet agrees to accompany him. Who do they meet next? The Ghost Gang, as the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, the Lion, and I think Dorothy? They don't fully
Yeah.
explain this one. I don't quite get it, because obviously Pax should be Dorothy in this story. But regardless, they agree to come along. Um, right, we'll stop here then. Right, let's go back a bit. This is all Wizard of Oz stuff, all fairly cleverly done and all that kind of thing. Except for one thing I don't like. I do not understand why the hell they didn't like fully commit to this, because now they've also confused about having fairy tales in.
Mm.
As Silly is there, but she looks exactly like Silly. They didn't even try to change how she looks, and they're calling a Little
Yeah.
Red Riding helmet as a Little Red Riding hood. That
Yeah.
confused the heck out of me. But the Ghost Gang, they just look like the Ghost Gang as well. Like, why not make them look like the things, like the scare cat, like, you know?
Yeah. You think it could be like a copyright thing, maybe? Like they're too much of doing two exactly like it, I think, or
I'm not sure, but I'm wondering. I'm going to quickly check. Is The Wizard of Oz copyright free these days? Not the film, the book.
hmm.
No. All right. So the copyright for the movie will end in December 31st, 2034.
Wow, bloody hell.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about the book, but regardless, do you know what I mean? But like maybe, but then I feel like they're, you know, like they're pushing it, they're pushing it quite far already.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just thought the whole fairy tale thing was confusing because it gets worse. Because the next distraction is Pac eating a gingerbread house, and in doing so, Panzel and Regrettable, which are two versions of Spiral who look just like Spiral, doing a really bad, near racist Dutch
Mm.
accent. And they're upset and end up agreeing to come along to see the wizard to get a new house. I hated it. They're like, okay, we'll come with you to see the Wizard of Odd to get a new house. He just ate your house.
I know.
Anyway, the wicked ghost of the worst is back and with an army of ghosts. They start attacking with slime and their heroes are forced to run and hide in the forest. Meanwhile, the space worm, in real life, the space worm is sucking up all of Pacopolis. This actually looks destructive. I was
Mm,
excited. And because Betrayus is so stupid, doesn't realize the netherworld is connected, it's also getting sucked up.
of course.
Buttle D and Buttle Dumb. So now we're doing Alice in Wonderland stuff. Are sent in being able to hunt via smell and they find Pac in the group. So yeah, they're like the hunters basically and so on. But you know what's happening? It's all the same level of hijinks. Now, of course, they end up at the Wizard of Oz, the Emerald City, the variation on that. And of course, meet the wizard, which is of course a variation on Cersei, who gives them all of what they need. It's all very friendly. It lacks the imagination and creativity that the Wizard of Oz has in this regard. They don't do enough
Mm,
silly. In fact, the whole like don't look behind the curtain thing isn't done in the same way or in a new clever way here either.
yeah,
But it is about Pat going home. However, at the same time, before he can go home, he's kind of got to help them deal with the Wicked Witch, which is kind of the story here. This Wicked Witch, it's nice to see they're a little bit more confident Betrayus, but it all ends the same way because at least Pat recognizes that he's in a fairy tale, so to speak. So
yeah.
figures he can use water in the same way. And goodness me, it works. Now, I don't mind that though, to be fair, because like if we're doing fairy tales here, and I suppose the whole criticism of the Little Red Riding and all of that being included is the Wizard of Oz is a fairy tale as well. It's just because we associate
Yeah,
that more
yeah,
with we associate more with a film, don't we? That's why.
yeah, 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 of course.
But yeah, inevitably Pac is able to free himself from the worm and make sure it stops destroying Pacopolis and saving the Netherworld too. So everyone lives happily ever after. This is a mixed bag one for me. I like the idea, but compared to the previous episode of creativity, it felt like this one never really pushed the boat enough for me. Never got quite interesting. I like the look of the worm. It's an interesting idea that they never used more because the worm's a whole like space worm. So going through it or into it or being digested by it creates just like different worlds. And it's like
Mm,
we could have had a few more episodes around it. Would have made it for a little bit of an more interesting watch. This one inevitably ends up feeling
yeah,
more like a fake dream than anything else. I know that's the whole point because of the Wizard of Oz thing, but it would have been nice to see a little bit more imagination used, particularly once they start including other fairy tale characters. Go all in that, man. Go all in that. But they kind of stop and go Little Red Riding Hood, Hansel and Gretel, and Alice in Wonderland. It's a weird
yeah.
combination to put in with Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those episodes where it could have had a lot of potential if they had done it over a certain period, like certain episodes, and if they had time, But
Mm.
again, it felt so rushed. They could have done so many good episodes with fairy tales and stuff like that. But yeah, because they limited again with time.
Yeah, and you can tell that there's a point in this where all this kind of ends. It's kind of why our notes just kind of end as well. It's because they just kind of end. They want to rush to the ending, so it's boom, boom, boom. Here we go. We're done. Out. Goodbye. That kind of thing, you
Yeah,
know. But what I don't get as well, like, there's not like it feels really rushed when we get to the Emerald City as well, because they could have done a number they could have had Grinder doing the whole nobody see being like that when nobody sees the wizard and stuff like that. They don't really fully
yeah, yeah,
commit to things like that, which is a bit of a shame, I think. There you go, though. That is the Wizard of Odd episode 20. Wizard of Odd, not Oz. Wizard of Odd episode 20 of Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures. You got any thoughts? You know what to do? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.